What is up, Mr. Deaton? Today we are going to be talking about Sander-Wells and Sander-Staudt. So without further ado, here we go about ectogenesis. So Sander-Wells talked about how ectogenesis is inevitable, like the way that technology is going to grow, and it's not going to grow because people are wanting to find an artificial womb. It's going to be so that, to help women who are having miscarriages and be able to, it'll just slowly work its way back all the way into inception. And so they think that they see Sander-Wells see it as a liberator of women, kind of how it's a physical burden, but they also see how it could devalue women's social value, and that would not be good, and that would be a drawback. So they also see it could be a source of organs and tissues, but they see that would also devalue human life just in general, which is kind of creepy just to think about it anyways. And they also see it would be a solution to abortion, which I see would be a possibility. It's kind of a way that pro-life and pro-choice could live in harmony. Because, let's say, abortions for the people that are needing to have an abortion, but the people are like, oh, you don't want to kill the baby, but the pro-choice people are saying, yes, we need to do that for the choice. You say, okay, we take the baby and put it in an artificial womb, and that way, both pro-life is okay and also pro-choice. So Sander-Staudt talks about three different types of feminists, because different feminists have like different points they make, and she creates three different categories. What she calls liberal feminists are they want liberty, equality, and autonomy for women, and they only see that the only thing holding them back from that are legal constraints. And so they see that creating, letting abortion be legal and all of that stuff would be able to fill that gap in. So they see that ectogenesis would be freedom for women, but they also see it would diminish the rights of mothers. So they would see that it would diminish the rights of mothers because they are just they aren't needed as much in the sense of for the parenting, as far as it's more like a man's role in a way, because they won't necessarily need to bear the child for 9 months. And also it would make regular pregnancies barbaric and primitive, which I think it was Firestone, or what her name is, the other lady that was talking about liberal feminist arguments. So you also have radical feminists, what she calls radical, and they see that's the difference between men and women, and that inequality is because of biological differences. I see that that's true, and also the fact that it may have to do with a little bit with religion and how that's all been the way that things have been, and at least Christianity and Muslim culture. They see. Radical feminists also see that it would free the burdens involved in pregnancy, like the actual physical burden of for 9 months to actually hold that baby and give that baby life. So then the last one is cultural feminists, which are pretty much feminist care ethics, which is relationships, and they see that it would be a social devaluation of motherhood, and if it was readily available, it would make motherhood seem like a disability. And people would just, why would you want to have a pregnancy for 9 months if you could have it without that? They also say that it could undermine the mother-child bond, which is actually created by a mother and a child being together for 9 months. And also it could undermine the child's physical and emotional development. They've done some research and studies seeing how babies with human touch and different stuff, how they grow differently than those who don't. Sander-Staudt comes up with the idea that therapeutic ectogenesis is okay, for example, but not widespread, as it's demeaning and disempowering to women in general. So I see that there's something special about bringing another human into the world. Let me move that back up. I see there's something special about bringing a mother bringing another human into the world, and something that can't be replaced by a mere machine. I don't necessarily see that. I see that the last points that the cultural feminists make, as far as undermining the childhood bond and the child's physical and emotional development, for the sake of argument, if there was a way to bring up the child so that it would be the same as any other child or a person, even if that was so, who would take care of the baby who was born from the machine? The mother doesn't want to take care of the or the family that gave birth to it doesn't want to. So would it just go up for adoption, and how would that work, and would that necessarily be the best case scenario? So I see that a combination, or the golden mean between all of these, like pro-life, pro-choice, and pro-ecto, and I see that that's possible. I see that abortions could be banned, except in the cases of rape and where mothers' lives would be put in danger. But instead of aborting, use ectogenesis. So, yep, that's what I see for this ectogenesis week in UT Tyler with all sorts of people. And, yep, that was my response for the day. Toodaloo.